grimaced. "Did you at least get the gun back?" No," Alexander admitted. "But if it's any consolation, I had forgotten to load it." He looked around the room expectantly. "By any chance, did anyone bring an extra weapon that I could borrow for the mission?" "I brought dozens," Erica reported. "But if you want them, you have to bring us, too." After that, it was difficult for the adults to argue that it made more sense to bring Alexander rather than Erica. And once Erica and I were coming, they figured that Mike, Zoe, and Svetlana might as well come along too. Trixie still had to remain behind, and Mary volunteered to keep an eye on her. Trixie was extremely unhappy about this and stormed into her room, pouting. She wouldn't come out again until Mary agreed to take her on an early morning wildlife safari and bungee jumping off the bridge into the chasm below Victoria Falls. The rest of us headed out. Since we wanted to be stealthy, we couldn't take the helicopter. Rufus would have heard it coming from miles away. Instead, Catherine and Cyrus swiped some Land Rovers from the hotel motor pool. We piled into them and headed off. The drive to the construction site wasn't too long. After all, Rufus Shang had built a brand new highway leading right to it. We just weren't supposed to be driving on it yet. However, the only detriments to doing that were a few orange cones and some threatening signs, which were easy to ignore. We followed the road until half a mile before the pavement ended, then parked the vehicles and continued the rest of the way to the camp on foot through the forest, taking care to be as quiet as possible. The adults insisted on taking the lead in case of trouble, while the rest of us followed not far behind. I felt much more comfortable passing through the jungle with my friends than I had with Murray the previous night. I knew I could rely on my friends if we ran into trouble. But I had also learned that the African wilderness wasn't as dangerous as I'd thought. True, there were plenty of animals there that could eat us, but I now knew that they didn't really want to do that. They would only attack if they felt threatened, and that was only as a last resort. The real thing to fear, as was the case just about anywhere, were the humans. As evidence, I still had a welt on my head from where Murray had clocked me. As we made our way to the camp, I noticed something strange about Erica. Normally, on a mission, she moved with the stealth and grace of a predator on the hunt. But now she was restless and fidgety. "Is something wrong?" I whispered to her. "Not at all," she whispered. Speaking so quickly that all words combined into one. "I feel amazing, totally amped." Zoe gave her a curious look. "How much cake did you have back at the hotel?" 7 slices, and a couple of cookies." "Holy smokes," Svetlana said. "You're having a sugar rush." "Is that why this is happening?" Erica held up her right hand. It was vibrating like a plucked guitar string. Mike snickered with amusement. "You've never had one of those before?" "I've barely ever eaten sugar in my life," Erica replied, "but I'm definitely going to eat more of it. I'm so energized right now. Watch this." She promptly performed a series of cartwheels, then finished off with a textbook roundhouse. I looked ahead toward the adults. They were so focused on the path ahead that they hadn't noticed Erica's gymnastics. So I whispered to my friends, "Maybe we should have Erica sit this mission out." Mike gave me an incredulous look. "Why would we want to do that?" "Look at her." I pointed to where Erica was now swinging from the branch of a tree. "She's not herself." "Exactly," Mike said. "Erica is formidable under normal circumstances. With a sugar high, she'll be unstoppable." I watched Erica a bit longer. Mike had a point. Under the influence of all the sugar, Erica seemed to have even more energy than usual. In the branches of the tree, she was performing a set of complex gymnastic moves that could have won her a gold medal at the Olympics. In the forest ahead of us, Catherine gave a bird call. It was a prearranged signal. The adults had reached the construction site. Even though she was blitzed on sugar, Erica was still an excellent spy at heart. She dropped from the tree and joined Mike, Zoe, Svetlana, and me in silently approaching the enemy, although her hands continued to quiver and her eyes were as wide as pie plates. We quickly caught up to the adults. They were crouched in the shrubs at the edge of the construction site, scoping out the premises. We dropped in behind them. I quickly noted that Rufus had some guards posted, but they appeared to be tasked with watching the prisoners rather than looking out for approaching enemies. Which made sense. Few construction sites were targets for sneak attacks, while the lousy treatment of the prisoners made the place a prime location for a revolt. But the guards were still a cause for concern. 5 of them were posted between us and Rufus's office. It turned out that the shabby, portable buildings I had noticed before weren't housing for the prisoners. They were for the off-duty guards. The prisoners had no housing at all. Instead, they were forced to sleep directly on the ground. They hadn't even been provided with foam pads, or sleeping bags, or pillows, and pajamas were out of the question. The prisoners wore the same filthy clothes they had been working in, and they were all still chained together at the ankles. It didn't look remotely comfortable, although most of them had somehow managed to fall asleep, probably because they were exhausted from work. However, there were still plenty of poor souls who weren't sleeping. They tossed about fitfully on the ground and shivered in the cool night air. "This is terrible," Zoe observed quietly. "Those people are being treated worse than dogs."